riding through. Under the wheels, under my feet, past mile, up on mile of old fields of wheat. And out of the corner, no, the tip of my eye, there are fields of green just passing right by. No matter how much I have in the bank or how much I owe on this bike, I now thank the mercy of nature for the fields I see and the fertile land in the heart of me. So, I got a question for you, Bikeaholic. Do you like to save money? Yeah, that's right, I'm talking to you. We here at Law Abiding Biker Media love to save money too. We recently made an awesome discovery. We want to pass the information on to you because let's face it, Bikeaholics, the more money we save, the more we can buy to put on our bike. Put your frickin' helmet on, I'm coming at you hard. That's right, 40 to 65% off GoPro, Under Armour, Columbia Sportwear, Mountain Hardware, Sorel, Lifeproof, Otterbox, Backpackers Pantry, Crokies, and Crocs. That's right. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/discount. Again, that's lawabidingbiker.com/discount. Take advantage of these deals, Bikeaholics. We worked hard to make this possible for you. Oh, and share this page with all your friends. By simply going to save some money, you're also supporting lawabidingbiker.com, and we thank you in advance. And now, straight from the Law Abiding Biker Media studio,
out of sunny Yakima, Washington,
we bring you another episode of the
#1 listen to motorcycle podcast.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
We're in your head.
You guys better hang on for this one. Oh yeah. That's right. Coming back at you guys with part 2 of the Ray Izod Lubesky interview. We did part 1, and man, it's going to be awesome. It's awesome content, guys. You want to hang around for it? Of course, you know this is the podcast for the motorcycle majority. The Big MM, also known as the 99%. That's right. Large and in charge, taking over the motorcycle scene. It is the law-abiding biker revolution, bitches. I just got one question for you guys. What in the hell are you waiting for? Mount up already. Let me take you on another wild-ass ride, huh? That's right. This is Ryan Urlacher, your host of the Law Abiding Biker podcast and your high-tech redneck. Welcome back to the show, guys. Got a lot in store for you. First off, I want to thank a new patron. That's Adam Jarozuk. And I know I mutilated that. He's of Brisbane, Australia. Huge supporter of the show. You can thank him for sponsoring this episode of Law Abiding Biker and this awesome interview that we're going to hear, or second part of the interview. He's going to get a free t-shirt, as all patrons do, that sign up and pledge a certain amount per piece of content. Of course, no risk, guys. You can put a cap on it. So if you did $2 an episode and you capped it at 10 and we put out 20 episodes, that would be $40. Well, you're still only responsible for the 10 because you put a cap on it. No risk. The community is growing. He also gets into the private Facebook group, and I know I have some requests over there. I can't, unfortunately let everybody in, guys. You got to be a patron. You got to pledge. Right now it's set at $2 per episode. You get that t-shirt and you get into the private Facebook group. Of course, you can still do $1 too and just be proud that you're supporting the show, and you can be responsible for bringing the content to the law-abiding biker community out there. If you want to get involved in Patreon and learn more, lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon. It is growing, guys. It's an awesome deal, and I appreciate the support. We really want to get people over there if we can. It gives us direction and some foundation, so we kind of know what's coming in and what services we can provide to you guys. And we'll go ahead and dive into the email bag real quick, and then we're going to get into the interview, but I wanted to read this one. Todd Greger of Danbury, Connecticut. Thanks, buddy. He contacted us over at lawabidingbiker.com/contact. He says, hello, been riding bikes since the 80s and been on a lot of websites, and I have to say your site is the best ever. Have a lot of info on things that were gray areas for me on the new 2014 Street Glide Special. I'll be downloading the software video for radio updates. Thanks so much. Of course, he's talking about all the boombox series over there, guys, and very, very popular videos. #1 selling boombox videos, thanks to all you guys. lawabidingbiker.com/ Harley boombox. There's an explanation over there of the 3 videos and what each offers and which one you may need. All right, he also sent me an email to ask what iPhone I was using with the boombox infotainment system and if it is compatible with the iPhone 5. I'm using the iPhone 6 Plus, and the boombox it is actually, because I had a 5 before that, or a 5S. It is compatible with the 5, the 5S, the 6, the 6 Plus, all that stuff, and a bunch of any of the newer, Android models and iPhone models. You really shouldn't have a problem. Thanks for sending that email, buddy. Shout out to Connecticut. All right, and we do have a couple Stitcher Radio reviews I wanted to go over briefly. Stitcher Radio reviews, 2 of them here, 5 out of 5 stars from Dan32. Great show, he says. The podcast is always informative, and they bring it with some humor. They always have great topics and videos you can go and visit. I highly recommend this podcast to anyone that is interested in motorcycles. Thanks so much, Dan32. And Jolly Jack says 5 out of 5 stars. Such a well put together biker podcast. I love how this podcast speaks to all of us normal bikers that are not criminals like the 1%ers. These guys don't care what you ride, but just that you ride. Keep it up, guys. I look forward to each episode. Peace out. Thanks so much, Jolly Jack. If you want to leave a review over at Stitcher Radio, lawabidingbiker.com/Stitcher Radio. Please also consider iTunes. It helps us, lawabidingbiker.com/iTunes. Those reviews and star reviews and all that, guys, it's free and it helps us out. It's something you can do for free. Take a minute of your time. It bumps us up in the ranking so that more law-abiding bikers and the community can find us out there, guys. We want to keep growing this platform, and that's a great way so that more people can find us. Also, we love word of mouth. All right. With that said, guys, let's take it right in. And we've got the second part of the interview I did with Ray Izod Lubesky. He was the international president for many, many years of the Iron Order MC. We all know from the first part. If you haven't heard the first part, you really need to go back and listen in on that. There was a lot of material, a lot of content covered, some very interesting stuff. You'll need to get up to speed on that, and then you can come back and listen to part 2 of 2 here. I wanted to split it into 2 because we did cover so much, and each episode, it will keep it right at about an hour. We ended up talking about an undercover officer, law enforcement officer, infiltrating and going undercover in their club. We talked a little bit about the heat and some of the reputation or perceived reputation that the Iron Order Motorcycle Club has. We cleared a lot of that up. I think he's going to clear some more up. He's going to talk about this undercover cop and what he found in their club. It's very, very interesting. And he was in, I think, 6 months, you'll hear. But I'll leave the interview to that, and I'll let you guys listen in on that. But again, enjoy the interview and go ahead and chime in if you have any comments. You can get all the episode notes always for each episode we do, guys. lawabidingbiker.com/ and simply the episode number. I take the notes for you. Anything we talk about, any links, we're going to have some information on the Iron Order MC, so you can always refer to that. All right, guys, let's get right into the rest of this interview. Enjoy.
In the early days, I'll tell you a funny story. We were actually infiltrated by an undercover cop.
I was gonna ask this. I didn't hear about this, but this is great. Yeah.
In Cincinnati, we were I think it was like our 5th year, early 2008. We opened a clubhouse outside of Cincinnati, and we were pretty new. Nobody knew about us. I don't think we had maybe 20 chapters, and an undercover officer went through prospecting, became a full patch member, and was in the club. We didn't have a clue. He left the club for family reasons, he told us. About a year later, we were involved in some other thing, and I got to talk to the chief of police in the suburb of Cincinnati. And, I was going to go through the usual, who are we, what are we, law-abiding, zero tolerance for drugs, clubhouse is open, any law enforcement officer, any time of the day, no warrant, you just come on in, have a Coke or pie, or if you're off duty and want a beer, come on in, that type of thing. And he said, well, we know all about you guys. You didn't know this, but we had an undercover officer in your club for about 6 months. And I go, really? He said, yes. He said, you remember so-and-so? And I go, yeah, he left. He had a family issue or something. He goes, no, he's undercover. So I said, well, what did you learn about us? He said, we learned you guys drink a lot of beer. He said, you guys need to be on a recycle program. He said, we went through your dumpster and all we found was Jack Daniels bottles, Fireball bottles, and beer cans.
And his investigation must have run cold. So he's just like, I'm done with this, huh?
Yeah. He goes, it was a pain in the ass because he didn't want to quit. He wanted to stay with you guys. And we told him he couldn't. He got pissed off. He said he still talks about it. He goes, he's never had a better time in his whole career than the time he spent with the Iron Order. So, got off track, I guess.
No, I love stories like that. We do anything on this podcast, man. I love it. Which brings up a point, Izod, is we know it. And we've talked about it on this podcast before. Even, us being a clearly 100% LE club, there are just, and I'll say it, there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a percentage of ignorant law enforcement out there. And they even look at law enforcement clubs like, because we wear a vest, and I can only imagine, it sounds like you guys are obviously, you're a law-abiding biker club. You're police friendly. We are too. But I've been around 20 years in that profession, and I get, trust me, I'm not saying it's all perfect, and I see it. So I can only imagine you guys being so large and getting a lot of the heat you get. And I guarantee there's cops that look at these pictures, and there are, not me. But they despise the image you guys set. And do you guys, I mean, they're looking at, you've got to, I don't have any insight, but I know they look at you. They're looking at you, the feds.
Few comments on that. When something happens and an issue takes place in their precinct or jurisdiction, whether it's fed or not, and all of a sudden they've got a motorcycle club that doesn't run away, who cooperates and says, hey, here's what happened. Here's the perps. Here's our part. And they completely now understand we're not the bad guys, and we're going to cooperate. We're not. We don't go by that half-assed biker code. You don't involve the police. I always, especially people coming into the club, because this is a tough thing for some bikers to understand. I explained to them. I said, so your next door neighbor has his car parked in front of your driveway, and you can't get in or out. Do you go over there and punch him in the nose? Or do you call law enforcement and say, hey, this guy keeps blocking my driveway? The answer to that is a difference between a civil society or a criminal society creating wanton violence. Simplistic, but reality. I think the biggest problem we have, and it's not a big problem, it happens when we open a chapter or a clubhouse in an area that's had a dominant club there for a long time. And all of a sudden there's issues, the rumors hit the street, and now, law enforcement in the area has got their antenna up, and there might be physical conflict happen or issues. And the first words we hear is, we didn't have problems here until you guys opened up. And, fair enough. But the reality of that statement is that's true. Because under your noses, under the law enforcement's noses, the dominant club's been running the streets. They've had total dominance over the clubs. There's no new clubs because they shut them down. They beat people up and nobody reports the incident. The bottom line is you had problems, you just weren't aware of them, or it was peace in the valley and you didn't have to work. Now, here we come. No, we're not going to close the clubhouse. No, we're not going to back down. No, we're not going to change our patch. No, we're not going to change our colors. No, we're not taking MC off our back. No, we're going to go where we want. And all those things, all of a sudden, that challenge the box creates conflict and controversy. And now somebody's got to go to work. Well, eventually, over time, that settles down. And by our own actions, either we earn the respect of law enforcement, because the first step we'll do when we open is we'll go and sit with them. We'll go to the local precinct or whatever, and we'll meet with gang task force officer or chief of police or whoever will take us. We have documents to give them and a little presentation, and we tell them who we are, what we are. We give them references to feds that we've worked with in the past, officers, guys in the MC field or gang task force field, to give them a level of comfort that we're not the bad guys. We're not there to cause issues. We certainly aren't going to go looking for it. It'll come to us. That seems to be where it ends up. We try to handle it lawfully within the law, and obviously with all effort to avoid issues. And usually that's the best we can do. And that's what we try to do.
And I'm glad you brought that up. And that is exactly, the appropriate thing to do in my mind, because this is a learning platform for other law-abiding biker clubs. Because I'm just going to tell you guys, I've said it before, the law-abiding biker scene is taken over. The old 1%er, that whole thing it still exists, but it's leaving, and you see it. You see it in all these clubs popping up, in these large clubs that are motorcycle clubs, but they're not criminals. And the more we do this, guys, and build these platforms, and the 99% stand up and we're just taking the motorcycle scene, this is the kind of stuff that you need to do. And I totally agree with Izod, with my background, is if you're running into those type of issues, is be transparent and sit down and those kind of things. And your actions will speak words once they get to recognize that you are law abiding and you're not, because it takes time. I'm telling you. Law abiding biker clubs have been around, but it's new as far as how big it's growing. And so a lot of police officers only have their experiences with the criminal element. And so they don't understand. And so well said, Izod. And if there's any, a ribbon you want to put on that, go for it.
We do everything on our cuts on the back left side, which would be the side on your motorcycle that an officer would approach you. Let's say you got pulled over for speeding or some traffic violation, or sometimes they just pull us over just like everybody else. Who are you guys? We never see you in this area. We've even had the pictures taken. We're subject to the same thing, but we're open and cooperative. And of course, they're going to find our bike isn't a stolen bike, and we've got licenses and registrations and no criminal records. But on our cuts on that left bottom side, if the brother has a CCW and he has a legally concealed weapon, there's a Maltese cross that tell the officer that's what it's there for. It's for law enforcement. They know that he's got a firearm on him, so to diffuse the situation right away, the brother will put up his hand and say, I'm carrying a firearm, and to keep the officer and everybody safe. I mean, that's what that's for. So we go out of our way to do that. Now, do we look like any other motorcycle club with a 3-piece patch? Yes, we have a 3-piece. It's black and white. It's iron order. But there's probably 50 LEMCs or MCs that are law-abiding out there that wear black and white in the same scenario. The gunfighters, the untouchables, off the top of my head, or two. But, if you did a little research, you'd find there's plenty of them out there that fall into the same category. The difference with us is that we're not an LEMC. We are an MC to every definition, except the fact that we take all that illegal, unethical, immoral stuff and we take it out of our life. Partying, the riding, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, we kept that in. And in that box that we built for ourselves, there are no secrets. If you want our bylaws, we'll send them to you. They're on the internet. If you want to know where our chapters are, they're on the internet. You want to know who our officers are, they're out there. If you want to know where we are, look for our clubhouses. It's not hard to sift through that veil to come up with a conclusion that when you do a little research and you find out about us, you'll find out that, we're bikers. We like to have a good time. We party. We do crazy stuff. We got pictures out there that we're not real proud of. But on the other side, it's like we're not real ashamed. It's just dumb stuff that we have done. The gun part of our culture is, unfortunately, we are in a part of society that sometimes that's required to protect ourselves. And unfortunately, that's what happened in Jacksonville. So it's not any image that we're portraying to the public. It's not what we're about. It's our legal right to protect ourselves and each other. That's what it's about.
Great. We here are pro Second Amendment. I appreciate every single individual that is lawful to carry. I say carry, and we promote that. So good on you guys for doing that. All right. So I've got something fun I want to talk to you about that'll be kind of a kick in the pants here real quick. And it's the last question that might be a little bit heated, but I'm just going to play a little something, then I want to talk about it, and then I'll explain. You'll know what it is.
It's time to strap our boots on. This is a perfect day to die. Wipe the blood out of our eyes. In this life there's no surrender, and there's nothing left for us to the strength to see this through.
I'm just going to tell you, you know what that is? That's a YouTube video. It's a pretty popular video about your club. And the reason I bring it up, people send me this stuff because of the platform. And if I'm not educated on it, I don't comment on it. But it hasn't been a video of controversy. The reason, there's nothing on the video, but the people that send me stuff take offense to, not offense, but they have questions about this whole law-abiding biker thing. And it's because of that song and those words. I know that's a tough question. Is there a reason that song was used? Do you care that that song was used? Does it say something that people aren't understanding, if you can go with that?
The music, the song obviously was recorded by a professional artist. Has really nothing to do with us. The choice of that song, again, we have a tremendous number of military in our club. Also, the fact that we feel as a club that our life, the life that we live, the MC life that we choose to live, and the choices we make on our stand on our liberties and freedoms are not real popular. So I don't know that there was any real deep meaning to that being put on the video. I know that it's used probably 100 times by other clubs or other organizations similar to us, but it's not anything that's hard to dwell on. It's just a good song, kind of sends a message that, we are a brotherhood. We stand together, solid, arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, boot to boot. And we do what we do because we have a right to do it, and no one has a right to take it away from us. I don't know if that answers your question.
It actually does. It gives me insight. And again, this is evergreen content that's going to be online, this exact interview. And so I think it's going to be great. It always is. Some of the best episodes we did is interviews with clubs and people that really have knowledge like you, that have been around a long time, that have been in this whole new law-abiding biker club world. I draw a lot from your experiences and what you say. And with the military thing, I think, that's you can use the song. I have no problem with it. This is just stuff that's sent to me. And I think now there's explanations for that and may give people a different insight, and now that the information is on the table. And I encourage all biker clubs out there, this law-abiding biker scene, I tell you guys, you need to get a hold of me like Izod did here. I got the platforms. You ain't costing a thing. It's free. I give my time. We all need to band together and we all need to learn from each other. And I know that just what we've talked about so far, there's so many things that I learn and so many things that other people learn. So please, the worst thing you can do, and I think, I don't want to speak for you, Izod, but is to be transparent. And we have a huge worldwide listenership. I mean, it's getting huge. Get on here with your club information. The worst thing you can do is be secretive about who you are. That causes suspicion for people.
Ryan,
go ahead.
You have no idea the wisdom that you're speaking of now. We learned, and probably another reason why we get so much heat and attention, we never hid from anybody. There was never guys in hiding, use that term. We've always been out there. We've always made people aware of who we are. We will answer your questions candidly, honestly, openly. Military membership in our club is huge. We have a chapter near every single large base in the United States and over in Europe and in Asia. I told you that we had a clubhouse in Iraq during the Iraq War. We had brothers running the deployment center in Kandahar. Interestingly enough, we have a lot of brothers in the Middle East serving right now. They would go through that waypoint, and there would be brothers sending them on their way to the combat zones and sending them home. That spirit's part of that song. Those brothers come home. They're our boys. They're our, flesh and blood. Every American citizen, not just Iron Order, every law-abiding, tax-paying American, those are our boys. Those are our flesh and blood. They put their ass on the line. They come home. They don't want to put up with a whole lot of shenanigans. They want to live their life as free Americans, to make the choices. And all the law-abiding clubs that you're talking to, they need to be seen. They need to be out there. There's too many of the, we'll just use the term bad guys that are out there squashing the rights, shutting down clubs, beating up people for no real good reason, for fear and intimidation. And they somehow got this thing started in the mid to late 80s with these coalitions that these protocols were supposed to keep peace between the clubs. Oh, bullshit. When I see peace between the clubs, then I'll believe it. But right now, I choose to think it's just bullshit. It's a way for them to enforce their will. When I see peace between the adversarial 1% clubs, I'll believe it.
Hey, Bikeaholics and listeners alike, the show is still going strong because of a lot of hard work and your support, of course. Thanks to all those loyal listeners and true friends of the show that have supported us or are supporting us. For less than a coffee a month, you can help support us too and put a little fuel in the law-abiding biker gas tank to make sure this show keeps moving on down the road. So, calling all law-abiding bikers, head over to our Patreon page and take action today. You can do so at lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. Oh, did I mention there's benefits too? From all your friends at lawabidingbiker.com, we appreciate each and every one of you. God bless and ride safe.
And another thing that really is insane and why the law-abiding clubs need to be show their presence and come together and share their experiences and their information and all those things. What's true in the Midwest is not necessarily true on the West Coast. What's true on the West Coast doesn't necessarily mean it's the same in New England. They're all over the board. And it's a moving target. So, it starts with one little thing and then it moves to another, to another, to another. And then pretty soon everybody's spinning around biting their tails. So you're speaking with great wisdom and it's a good message to all law-abiding clubs. Get out there, be seen, stand your ground, be men. If you want to be a member of the Iron Order, that's one of the biggest requirements we ask. All we ask is that you be a man. Be a man. Don't be a sheeple. Don't bend over to somebody else's wishes and demands. Be a man. Stand up for yourself, your family, so you can look your son in the eye and say, son, I belong to a motorcycle club, and we do it our way. And it's law-abiding, and we're not going to break the law. We're not going to be part of a culture that undermines, the freedoms, rights, and liberties of law-abiding Americans across the country. Not going to be part of that. This is why I belong to that club, whatever your club is.
Yep, that's great. Yep, the transparency and like I say, guys, hit this platform up and it's easy. We just sit here and BS. That's all we're doing. Now, Izod, we're done with that. Now this is funny. So you guys are obviously huge and you get some celebrity attention. And I was looking here at a video. Now it's posted back in, it looks like February of 2000. What's that?
Bob Saget?
Yeah, the whole Bob Saget thing. And I'm going to put this in the show notes for you guys, lawabidingbiker.com/ and whatever this episode number ends up being. But I'll put this video embed in there. Tell me about this Bob Saget. And you're in there. He's talking to you. It's actually quite humorous.
Yeah. Bob's a great friend of the club, even to this day. You want to know the whole story?
You know what? I don't know how many times I can get you on this platform, and I'm having a ball, and I know the listeners are. So let's just go with it. Yeah, tell me the story.
Well, Bob Saget had this new TV series, Strange Days of Bob Saget. Anybody that knows Bob Saget, of course, they know him from America's Funniest Videos and that show he had with the twins, the Olsen twins. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah. All in the Family or All in the House or Full House? Was it Full House? I can't remember.
I can't remember. But anyway, clean American, funny. But if you see him in person or you see anything in video, he can be as raunchy as the next guy. I mean, he is a crazy, wild comedian. But we got contacted. He was doing this series, and they were looking to do a show on bikers going to Bike Week in Daytona. And I don't know how they got us. I talked to him. I was IP at the time. And I told him no, we had no interest. And I referred him to several other clubs that go to Daytona. I said, it's not a club function for us. Guys do go. There's a lot of IO that go, that just like Sturgis, but it's not a club sanctioned event. We just don't do that kind of thing. So as a club. So, they did a little research on us. They called me back the next day and they said, no, we learned a little bit more about you. We think we'd like to spend a little time with you. And I said, no, we're not interested. The third day they called me back and said, look, we've done more research. We've interviewed some other clubs. We really want to do this with you guys. Can we come out and talk to you? And I said, look, I've done told you twice. No, I'm telling you again, we're not interested. But if you want to come to a party, we're having one in Louisville, Kentucky at the Mother Clubhouse this Friday. So I said, if you got balls enough to show up, I'll talk to you.
Really? That's how it went down, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So they showed up. They called me from the airport, and I was shocked. Anyway, they went through a weekend with us, and they brought some video cameras. Of course, they couldn't use any of it, and it probably was too risque anyway. But they spent Friday night, Saturday night, and most of Sunday. They flew back on Monday, but they didn't sleep for 2 nights. And they were at the clubhouse partying with us and got everything they wanted. And they went back to Hollywood. Now, Bob wasn't with them, and Bob didn't come into the picture. So Monday or Tuesday, I got a call from A&E Network, and they said, this is A&E, and I'm the executive producer, blah, 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 blah. And I said, look, you guys came out, they partied with us. We're not interested. Whatever it is that you guys are doing, it's not up our alley. And they said, no, hold on. Don't hang up the phone. We want to do the whole show on you guys. And I said, I don't know. Tell me what you want to do, how we're going to do it. And I said, look, I'll bring it to my board of directors. We'll talk about it. I can tell you that we're not going to do anything unless we have final editing. They said no. I said, well, then that ends it, so we don't worry about it. Next day, Vice President of A&E called and said, we'll agree to that. So we decided to do it. Bob came out. The first time he met us was that first scene. He was genuinely nervous.
I could tell. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he was acting.
No, he wasn't. He was scared to death, actually. He was subsequent to this, like I say, he's still a friend of the club. Our brothers will go to his stand-up shows. He'll introduce them to the audience. And, I hear from him once in a while. He'll go to a clubhouse every once in a while. He genuinely is a friend of the club. And he's brought other people and whatnot. So, he's a wonderful human being. He's a great guy. I can't say enough good things about him. But it took 3 weeks of him living with us. He rode with us. He ate with us. He lived the life for that period of time. And we rode in the middle of winter. You'll see ice on the side of the mountain. He froze his ass off. They were only able to get what you saw, but there was a whole lot more that they didn't get that he treasures is his memories, because he'll talk about him all the time. But we decided to do that show. I remember there was big controversy in our ranks on whether we should do it or not, because, I had a fear that we would be portrayed as thugs, hoodlums, bullies, or buffoons, jokers, and silly. It seemed to me that in order for us to get our message across, we had to be very careful so that the real Iron Order came through. I think Bob and the producers got that message from our discussions, our meetings, what we decided, and they hit it. I mean, we didn't have to edit anything. Everything you saw there, and I think it hit the club. And there's Naked Dave in that video. So back before the haters pages existed, Naked Dave was there with no clothes on, and so that's been the Iron Order tradition. And we lost a brother shortly before we filmed that. We had a memorial service. It's hard to be in a room when you lose a brother and there's 50, 60 tough as nails guys bawling their eyes out. And, Bob Saget and the whole team was there, and they were crying along with us. And didn't know Killer, didn't know anything about it, but they completely got our culture. They attended a wedding. They attended several parties, some that didn't get on there. The brothers made sport of them, made fun of them. But the big controversy within our club was, the rally, what self-respecting MC would put a comedian in a sidecar and ride him all over the country? And lo and behold, 6 months after we did it, the Hells Angels did it with Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh, so did they? I didn't know about that one. Okay.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they actually had Larry the Cable Guy going to Sturgis with the Hells Angels.
Jeez.
And I said, at least we're in good company.
Right, exactly. It's that day and age, it just is. Everything's everywhere. So
yeah, so we had fun with it. I think the club's very proud of it. At that time, I think we had about 80, 85 chapters. We're at 350 today. Bob doesn't go anywhere or do a stand-up that there isn't a contingent of Iron Order in the audience. He usually opens up and says, anybody, and there will be no hecklers in this show, I can assure you, because anybody that heckles him, my entourage is right there.
Yeah, I love it.
One time the guys sent one of their club business cards up to let them know that they were in the audience, and he goes, "Is so and so in the audience? Stand up." And he stood up and he goes, "So what do you want me to do with this card?" He goes, "That's not for you. It's for the Olsen twins."
I love it.
But I think he captured, if you watch that video, and of course there's some tongue-in-cheek stuff, but he really got it. He was around the brotherhood. He felt our pain. He felt our celebration. He genuinely was moved. What little you saw of the little ceremony we did when we ended it, and patched him in. We didn't patch him in. We gave him a known associate patch. He was genuinely floored. He still has that thing, by the way. It's in what do you call it? Shadow box. Mm-hmm. He wears it on stage, So we're proud of him, and we're proud of our relationship and the accomplishment of that video. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, I did. I watched it right before we hooked up, and it actually brought a smile to my face. It was him riding in that sidecar. And he says at one point, because you're talking about he's riding and it's so cold, you guys stop at a service station. He tells a couple of your guys, "I'm too cold. I can't even go to the bathroom and touch my junk because my hands are too cold."
Yeah, that's true. Well, we were running hard and it was cold. And to his credit, we had a bunch of vehicles, if you can imagine, with camera tripods and backs open, and there were sound people and camera people. It was crazy. Nothing that any of us were prepared for. They had him wired for sound and video on the sidecar. And he had the opportunity, they could film a few, miles and then get into a nice warm SUV and take the rest of it. No, he didn't. He toughed it out. He wanted to know. And, traveling at 80, 85 miles an hour in a sidecar kind of shook him up a little bit. But I think he enjoyed it. We had there's a lot of old little stories that go along with that taping, experiences along the way. He talks a little bit about, learning the life on the road, and he got to know that. And I'll tell you one funny story. We have the guy in the video. He's an old guy. We call him old school. He's a Vietnam vet. A little bit of Agent Orange in his life, if you understand that. So, he's the one who says, spill on aisle 9 when he actually spilled coffee. Bob Saget was pouring coffee, and he goes, spill on aisle 9. That's old school. Well, old school, we had the wedding that was videotaped, which you probably can't see as it was cold that night. It snowed, and this was in North Georgia. And we kind of lost old school. We about 2:00 in the morning, we couldn't find old school. And we're at the clubhouse, which is in the middle of nowhere. And so we're all looking for old school because we knew he had a little bit more to drink than he really needed. And in the moonlight, I saw this body under snow on a lawn chair laying out. And the closer I got, and I realized it was him. He was under 6 inches of snow, out like a light.
Oh, jeez.
So Bob Saget said, "Is he alive?" I said, "Oh, are you kidding? He's got enough antifreeze. Of course he's alive."
Oh, jeez. That's awesome. I love those stories, man.
Every clubhouse has a coffin. That's one of our traditions. When you open a clubhouse, the club buys you a coffin. It's a wooden coffin. One of the brothers makes them for us. And I really don't know how. I know I started it, and I think it was because one of the clubhouses had a coffin. I thought it was pretty cool. So every clubhouse gets a wooden coffin. They get to decorate it and make it part of their clubhouse, whatever they want to do with it. And so Saget was there, and we were unloading a tractor trailer full of about 20 of these coffins. And, and I'm directing them, well, that one goes in that truck, that goes in that truck, that goes over there, this goes over here. And he said, Izod, he said, "What's up with all these coffins?" And I said, "Oh, it's just, we're having a big party." He said, "People die at your parties?" I go, "Hang around."
He's already nervous.
Yeah. People really die at your parties.
Oh, man. Those are fun to hear about, little traditions like that, because everybody does little different things like that. So what else, man, before we wrap up? You got stories, anything, man? Oh,
no. I mean, gosh, there's old stories that We could sit here for hours.
I hear you. I've enjoyed the heck out of it. It's been, I think, really just solid content. And I would love to have you back sometime, man, if you were willing, and, and we can talk about issues as they come up, and because, this whole scene is changing as we go.
And I think you were speaking so wise. I think it's changing for the better. For the most part, most one percenters, we're not in their sandbox. They recognize that we're not in a different snack bracket, and we're not in their business. We genuinely are what we say we are. We don't hide anything. We're not causing trouble for any other MC, God forbid. When we come to town, the only thing we do, last year, probably almost $1 million in charity. We don't broadcast that. It's not something that we do for that reason. It's what we do for our communities. When we come to town, we bring hopefully a good name and a good reputation for all bikers, and all law-abiding clubs should be their goal. To bring the goodness to the community, so that bikers get that stigma. They're just bad because we wear black leather and boots, and that's not necessarily the truth. Most of the one percenters pay us no mind. They don't even consider us a legitimate. I think you asked me, are we a legitimate MC? I don't know what that is, but apparently we're not, and that's fine with us. And it really doesn't mean a hill of beans to us, but the few that do have a problem, we think that's their problem. And on our side of the fence, we certainly aren't looking for it. All law-abiding clubs should be proud and be loud and proud of what they're doing, who they are, why they're doing it, because there's room on the road for all of us. And if we all have courtesy and respect, and I spell that RESPECT, that's respect. That means I respect the fact that you have a right and I have a right. We may not agree, we may be on total ends of the fence, but the respect is we leave each other alone and we go about our business, we go about our life. I don't spell it FEAR. And too many times the gangs, and that goes to street gangs, to, organized crime, to motorcycle gangs. That respect is really FEAR, fear. And there's no room for that in any of our lives.
I absolutely could not have ended on a better note than that. So great. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it, Izod.
You're welcome. And stay safe and keep the rubber side down.
Wow. What a great two-part podcast series with Ray Izod Lubesky. We thank him for being on the platform, and hopefully we'll have him back in the future. Don't forget, you guys can get involved too. We really, really think you should step up and be transparent. Now is not the time to hide your law-abiding club as the revolution continues. Let's all help each other. You can contact us, lawabidingbiker.com/contact. That's our general. Of course, we have the podcast hotline number, 509-731-3548. You can leave us a damn voicemail from anywhere in the world, guys. No charges, right from your computer. They've all got microphones built in, guys, unless you're using like a 80s Mac or something, but whatever. lawabidingbiker.com/voicemail. Leave us a voice message. Let us know your thoughts. Get involved with the show, guys. It doesn't cost you a thing. If you guys want to help us out, you can use our Amazon affiliate. Anything you buy from Amazon, you can help us out, guys. No additional cost to you. That's right. We get a small kickback in return. The way you do that, simply go to lawabidingbiker.com/Amazon. Once you do that and you go to that page, bookmark it. Anytime from then on, just bookmark it as like my Amazon bookmark or Law Abiding Biker Amazon bookmark. Anytime you click through on that and then you purchase something, that's right, we do get a small kickback. It helps keep this show going down the road, puts a little fuel in the Law Abiding Biker fuel tank, as Lurch likes to say. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it, and really, really hope you enjoyed the content and that interview. Last, don't forget to get involved in that free email club, lawabidingbiker.com/email club. Send you items now and then, free video, stuff like that. We won't spam you. We're not going to send you porn unless you specifically request it. No, we're not going to send porn or any stuff like that. Just get in the club, guys. All right, enough said. Keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. What are you waiting for, freaking bikeaholics? Get out there and ride already, huh? Quit sitting around.